Welcome into the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly Potpourri edition, albeit a little bit early. I'm Richard Skinner, Local12.com digital sports columnist and editor with Rick Boring. As always, it's presented by Blake, the attorney Maislin. We are doing this super early on Thanksgiving week because, well, Rick and I have a busy Wednesday ahead of us, including him calling a Northern Kentucky University basketball game. We're not going to do it on Thanksgiving, so we decided we'll do it on a Tuesday night. So, Rick, we still got a lot to talk about, though.
Yeah, well, plenty to get through. We'll try to get through it quickly here, and maybe if you're traveling for the holidays, you'll get a chance to listen to it on your drive. We'll start with the Bengals, Skinny, and the big news this week is, of course, head coach Zach Taylor saying on Monday that he expects Joe Burrow to start Thursday night's game at Baltimore. So we've been talking about this now for a few weeks. Should he come back? Will he come back? Won't he come back? Why he should, why he shouldn't. Now that we're finally here, sounds like he is actually going to play on Thursday. What's kind of your overall take on that?
Yeah, I think, listen, I know everybody wants to put him in bubble wrap, right, and not play him, and that's been the question. And I thought he gave a good answer today, and I wanted to call the quote up here. It's a long quote, so you're going to probably have to bear with me. The question was simply, what are your thoughts when people say you shouldn't play and you should be protected for next year? He says, I understand why people feel that way, but you look at it from my perspective, I'm a football player. If I get hurt, I'm going to go through the rehab process, and I'm going to let everyone know when I feel like I can go out there and play. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to ever go to somebody and say, yeah, I'm healthy, but I don't think I should go out there and play. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not going to live my life and play this game scared of something happening. Like, yeah, something's going to happen. It's football. Guys are going to get hurt. Guys are going to get concussions. You're going to break bones, tear ligaments. It's a physical, intense game. That's part of this. Yeah, I've had injuries. There's not a lot I can do about that. I worked really hard to have that not happen, but what can I do is when it does happen, I can control how I'm attacking my rehab and attacking practice and doing everything in my power to get back as quickly as possible, and that's what I did. That was a good answer.
Yeah, it's a good answer, but the only thing I don't like about the way this has been talked about or covered by some media members is like, Burrow says this, and if they've been on the other side of this argument, they're like, see? What'd you think was going to happen? Of course Burrow wants to play. It's like, that was never the argument, guys. No one ever argued that like Joe Burrow is too fragile mentally to want to come back. No one ever thought Joe Burrow didn't want to play football. Of course he wants to get his stats. Of course he wants to play. He's a competitor, all of those things. I believe everything he said. What was in question was the Bengals needing to weigh how much it's worth Joe Burrow playing in these games and him being competitive and all those things versus the meaningless nature of what's ahead of this team the rest of this season. I mean, there is a reality of, he's right, it could happen at any time. It's part of the game. It's part of the sport. But when you're getting older now, like you are, you're the franchise player, and you've gone through multiple traumatic injuries, this being the most worrisome of the bunch, then it's reasonable to think, yeah, you know what? The front office needs to maybe protect Joe from himself a little bit and be very careful with how they handle this. Now, last week, the argument was, I don't want them to rush them back. And then I hear people saying like, oh, Joe Burrow should play if he's ready. Well, they didn't play him last week. You know why? Because they probably thought that wasn't an ideal situation. They probably thought it was a little too soon, and you had the back-to-back turnaround that was too quick for him.
And that made sense.
Right. And so that was always part of I don't understand why that seemed irrational to certain media members that you would think the Bengals should be careful in that situation. That's exactly what they decided to do. Yeah,
but on this one, though, and I think there's another point to be made here. Let's just say you decided to shut him down for the rest of the season for no good reason other than you're just afraid he's going to get hurt. Don't think that these reps don't mean something, too, to work themselves into next year. I mean, he would have gone almost a full year without playing competitive football. Don't tell me there wouldn't have been some rust. And then you would have said, well, man, I sure wish he would have played a few games last year to shake some of the rust off.
Yeah, I think it's all something you have to weigh out. I've never been of the approach of like, he's not going to play the rest of the season. Obviously, he is going to play. I don't necessarily want him to, but he is definitely going to play. My point all along was that if you're the Bengals, you have to make sure it is well past the point of him being ready to come back and him feeling perfect physically. It can't be oh yeah, he's back. As soon as he's back, let's get him in there and think he's ready to go. That just doesn't make any sense in this situation, especially since the games don't mean anything at this point. I understand getting him back on the field, working him back in there at some point, but last week wasn't the time to do it. They're deciding that this week is. I'll be holding my breath the entire time, but I hope it goes well.
Yeah, and I think just on his reaction to that question today, I think he does fully understand why people feel that way. But I still go back to this. I mean, you have a healthy guy in your locker room and the rest of the guys are busting their ass. And you're going to go, hey, you all keep busting your ass. And I don't really care if you get hurt, but I sure care if he gets hurt. And you can't tell me that whether you know he's the franchise guy or not, that isn't a factor too.
Do you think I care for 1 second about the feelings of the offensive lineman or defensive lineman on this football team?
Yeah,
I don't. I promise you that. I do not care. Like, what are you worried about, shaking their confidence? They already suck. They shouldn't be confident.
You can't coach like that, Rick. You can't coach that way and say, yeah, I know my guy's healthy, but you guys keep busting your ass. Here's the other part to this too is I think he saved Zach Taylor, but he's also coaching for his job potentially, right?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's just so hard to know with the Bengals if there's any legitimacy to Zach Taylor being on the hot seat.
If there is an inkling of him needing to say, I need to win a handful of games here down the stretch, and Joe Burrow gives me that best chance. And again, not throw complete caution to the wind. Like, again, I've been all along consistent with this. He needs to be 100% to be out there, and apparently he's, I guess, as close to it as you're going to get. I mean, you get these coaches in these spots where their ass is on the line too sometimes. So they have to make the best decision not only for the long-term future of a Joe Burrow, but my short-term future of staying employed by the team.
Yeah, I mean, two people whose opinions I don't care too much about on this are Joe Burrow's and Zach Taylor's, quite honestly. Like, I mean, I want a GM making this call and kind of driving this decision in a lot of ways and being like, here's what the future looks like, and let's decide based on that. Now,
what's a GM?
Is what it is.
What's a GM?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, most teams are going to do what the Bengals are doing here. I don't think they're doing anything dumb or crazy. I just think you have to think about. No professional sports teams want to admit they're out of it, except for every NBA team that tanks for like more than half the season. But I think in this case, with a Joe Burrow and this situation that he's in, you just had to really weigh your options here and be very thoughtful about how soon you're bringing him back, when you're bringing him back, what meaningless wins the rest of the season are worth compared to the potential for him to get hurt again. And it's not that he couldn't get hurt the first snap of preseason next year. Like, that's always a thing that could potentially play out. But the more reps that you have, especially behind a bad offensive line playing meaningless football games, the more you're putting him in harm's way.
Yeah, I think another question here, and Zach was asked this yesterday, and I asked Joe this today, of, does he need, in case of Joe, do you think about changing your playing style, as far as trying to do things unscripted and extending plays? And he didn't seem too keen on the idea of not. He said, I'm going to have to pick my spots with that. Zach said, it's probably a feeling out process. But I think there's also a live and learn here for him in this situation of, man, if you're going to come back and play, that's all well and good, but you need to change a few things. Like, you can't dance around on 3rd and 11 and expect to maybe not get hit and hurt. And again, I think that's where, unfortunately, the narrative comes back to, this sucky offensive line. Well, Joe danced around for a long time on the play he got hurt. I mean, you can only protect for so long in this league. And to some degree, you can blame the injury in part to him. Not being reckless, it's just the way he plays. But now that you've gotten hurt that way, and you've seen Joe Flacco do things of just getting rid of the ball, do you have to maybe change your way you play just to protect yourself and just to be simply smart?
No, I mean, Skinny, I agree that he likes to extend plays, but we're also not going to sit here and act like you haven't been railing against how bad Orlando Brown's been this entire season. Like, this offensive line is not good.
They've been really good of late.
I think a lot of that has to do with Flacco and the style of offense they're playing with Flacco back there.
That's also my point, though.
Well, I mean, they're not going to dink and dunk with Joe Burrow back there. And if they are, then what's the point of putting him back there? Just leave Flacco back there if you just want a game manager who's going to get out in 2 seconds.
I mean, dink and dunk and got Joe Flacco a 400-yard passing game.
I agree. If that's this, but then why do you need Burrow back in there then for these meaningless games if you can go for 400 with Flacco doing what he's doing?
I'm not telling you he doesn't do it. I'm just saying you just can't do this all the time. Like, I'm going to be a hero at every freaking down. You can't. 1st and 10, get rid of the damn ball, dude.
What do you expect from Burrow in terms of not just that style of play thing that you mentioned, which is interesting in itself, but like, where do you think he's going to be at in these first couple of games back?
I don't know, because we don't have a history of him getting hurt and coming back other than that calf injury, right? Because he got hurt, but he didn't miss any game action. He missed some camp, but he played in that opener in Cleveland, and quite frankly, for the first 4 games, he was a train wreck. Now, he was also still managing the injury at that point. I don't know how much of this injury he's still managing, if any at all. So I think that's the interesting part of, can I draw a parallel to coming back from the calf? And the argument that he came back too soon from that. After a game or two, maybe we'll have some evidence of that. But I honestly, I wish I could give an answer, Rick. I honestly don't know. I mean, if he's as 100% or as close to it as he says he is and feeling good, then in theory, I expect Joe Burrow to hit the ground running. But I've never really seen this other than that calf injury situation season. And after a handful of games after that, he was really good. It took him a while to kind of shake it off and get back to playing normal and stop babying it and all those things. I just don't know what this looks like.
Yeah, if he's rusty and it's not perfect because of that, then that is what it is. It's kind of what you expect. If we're in a situation where people are saying, well, he's not 100% yet, you can't expect him to be 100% coming back, then I'm going to be pissed off about the fact that he's out there.
And I'm not opposed. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's not a legitimate excuse to use at this point because, again, these games don't count for anything other than his statistics and Zach Taylor not getting fired.
They are mathematically still alive.
Sure. What about T. Higgins and the concussion situation? I mean, he's not going to play on Thursday. Not ideal for Burrow to be coming back and not have T out there with him, obviously. Do you think this lingers any farther, or do you think it's pretty straightforward, just out for Thursday?
Yeah, I never can tell with concussions. I mean, Thursday was going to never be on the table if it was any kind of concussion. I mean, that's just usually if it's a mild concussion, and there's really nothing mild about a concussion, but if it's mild, Thursday is kind of the first day you can get back to maybe doing some exercise stuff. And there's steps in concussion protocol, like you have to do some light exercise, then ramp it up, then maybe get some practice reps after that. And obviously, in a regular week, that still is a very condensed time frame to maybe go getting in concussion protocol on a Sunday and trying to come back and playing on a Sunday. That's still very, very hard. Coming back and playing on Thursday is impossible. And that thing looked awful too, man. That didn't look like I got my bell wrong. That looked, I mean, honestly, Rick, I've had friends whose parents have like my dad fell and cracked his head on the, and it makes me, you're like, oh God, I can feel that. Watching that injury, I mean, I can feel that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was so nasty. You're like, oh, I can feel that. And that's how bad that was.
Yeah, it makes you cringe. Hate seeing those ones where you hit the back of your head like that.
Yep.
Jamar Chase posted his apology for the Spitgate situation. Obviously, he got the 1-game suspension. He got the fine. We're good to go now. He's posted his apology. What did you think of the apology? Too little, too late, or that was a good job, or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a best case scenario, I guess. I mean, you did apologize, and that I did like today when someone asked him, have you talked to Jalen? He goes, got no reason to. I mean, you really don't. I mean, are you expecting to apologize to Ramsey for this?
No.
That'd be like the Niners guy apologizing to the guy that hit him in the jimmies last night.
Yeah, I mean, he's not sorry for what he did to Jalen Ramsey. He's sorry for like the kids that saw it and that type of stuff.
Correct, and then lying about it. Yeah, exactly. And I think this is one of those ones that I think this gets put behind him pretty quickly because I really don't think that's what he is. I said last, Jalen Ramsey's a punk, and you just have to know that going in. Jamar even made a point today, like, I get baited every week. Well, this was a little more than that. I mean, there was a couple of cheap shots involved, but there is a line. I mean, everybody knows the line. Players know the line. He knows the line. I think some of that was a culmination of frustration of that particular game and not getting a lot of targets and catches and the way they defended him. Culmination of this season and just a guy in the moment that just drives you up a wall. I really don't think people think what they want about Jamar Chase, but I really don't think that's him. I think he crossed the line, no question. I mean, I don't think he definitely crossed the line, no question, but I don't think that's him. I think that I think you'll see him honestly ball out the last 6 games. I think he's a guy that would grit his teeth and go, bro, I don't care if they're doubling me. I'm going to figure out a way to get open, and we're going to make this work.
Who do you think is happier about these situations being in the ChatGPT era now? Is it the player agents, or is it the PR people for the team that have to come up with those apology letters and can now just run it through ChatGPT instead of writing 400 words?
I think that came clearly from Jamar Chase's heart.
Yeah, Jamar GPT.
Yeah, Jamar GPT.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on Bengals or NFL, or can we switch gears to college football here?
No, we can switch gears. It's just, I mean, I will say the defense has shown a little sign of life. I mean, honestly, they gave up 20 to Pittsburgh. I mean, you see the number, right? But 2 defensive touchdowns. They gave up 19 to New England, a defensive touchdown. They've given up less than 400 yards the last 2 games. And and maybe we can argue Al Golden took too long to do this, because I can remember asking these questions back in like week 3 and 4, like, you're not getting much pressure on the passer. You need to blitz more. And I said, it's one of those ones you're not asking the guy to divulge, here's my scheme, I'm going to blitz 65% of the times, but you need, and he started talking about, I need to create more pressure packages and more, and it kept going, and it felt like he wasn't doing that. But then Sunday, it looked like, you saw at least it felt like a lot more blitzing. Geno Stone was used as a blitzer and pretty effectively. They tackled for a change. I thought they were more physical against the run. We can argue it's too little too late, but there's a little sign of life out of that defense. And all I need to see is a handful of guys, because you're not moving forward with a big chunk of these guys. I just need to see some signs of life from some of these guys that you hope can be cornerstones going forward.
It's a tough loss, but I did think that the defense actually looked better in this last game. I thought it was maybe the best they've played. No,
I agree with that. I mean, like I said, they tackled in the run game.
Geno Stone made. I mean, how about that goal line stop they had?
Goal line. I mean, nine plays they had to stop them, and that could have been a woe is us moment. Like, we just stopped you, and now we committed a penalty. Okay, we're good. I'm not going to fight another down for this stuff. And they did. They fought. I know that's hollow and that sounds high schoolish and all those things, but you got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, that's an easy place to cave in a losing season, and they didn't. And then, you move down the field, you're 25 yards away from maybe pulling out a crazy win. And that's kind of the microcosm of the season. They can't make enough plays to get over the hump. And that again shows you that's what bad football teams lose games like that. Good football teams win games like that. New England's a good football team. I mean, Drake May for the first quarter and a half, I thought it was awful.
Yeah, terrible.
I mean, not just, the Geno Stone interception was a terrible throw right to him. He had a couple of others that just looked like, this is the MVP candidate? Seriously? And then he kind of got his stuff together.
Geno Stone making that tackle at the goal line on that stop was maybe the most improbable play in the entire NFL season.
You're right.
I mean, I could not believe that actually happened.